Hello and welcome to the Sam Pace Memoirs. My name is Sam Pace. This is episode 7 of the first season, and this is the last episode of the first season. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment below. The second season will be coming along in a few months. My grandma Millie lived in Paramus, New Jersey for more than 60 years. Paramus is only about half an hour outside New York City, so every time the band had a gig or two in the area, we would stay with her for 1, 2, sometimes 3 nights. By this time she was in her mid-80s and weighed about 90 pounds, standing 4 feet 11 inches. She lived alone and took care of her own affairs, with relatives stopping by regularly and checking in with daily phone calls. Staying with her was always a treat. She lived in the same house with the same plastic-wrapped furniture I'd known since my first memories of visiting her. She would purchase, prepare, and order endless amounts of food, checking in with our appetites every hour on the hour. Her hearing was poor. We had to speak very loudly to make sure she could hear us. Her hearing aids would hiss and squeal regularly, which she often didn't notice. And when we all watched TV together, the volume was so loud that even 3 traveling musicians were taken aback. 4 months before she passed away, we stayed with her one last time. Because of some back and forth gigging in the region, we ended up staying with her longer than I had ever stayed at that house in my entire life. 5 nights. After a late gig, we got back to Grandma's and went to bed about 3 in the morning. Waking late the next morning, we sat in the kitchen drinking coffee and noshing on fruit and toast. I noticed Grandma Millie had a newly applied bandage wrapped around her left arm. "What happened to your arm, Grandma?" "Oh, I was down in the basement this morning, and when I came up I tripped on those damn stairs and fell." By the way she had described it, I could tell it was no light fall. It had shaken her up. "Jesus, are you okay, Grandma?" "Well, it was bleeding pretty good." "Grandma, this happened this morning?" "Yeah," her voice lilting. "Grandma, if you need something from the basement, let me get it for you. While I'm here, I can do stuff like that for you." "Okay." She paused. "I'll need to change the bandage later. I might need some help with that." "Yes, no problem. Just let me know." This was not the first such instance involving my grandma taking a tumble. Once, 14 years prior, she was visiting my family in Milwaukee. While out for a walk by herself, she suffered a small heart attack and fell face first on the pavement. She called us from the emergency room. My mom, her daughter-in-law, went and picked her up. When she got home, half of her face was a bluish-blackish color and her eye was swollen and bloody. She was missing the eyeglasses I had always known her face to contain. The next day she looked worse, like Sylvester Stallone at the end of the first Rocky. Only she was a little old lady. It was striking to behold. She made a full recovery. Now here I was again, and my dear tiny Grandma Millie had gone down like a sack of potatoes once more. A few hours later she asked if I could help switch the bandage. Now would be a good time to tell you about the special state of my Grandma Millie's blood. When I was 1 year old, my grandfather, Millie's husband, died. It wasn't until I was 22 that I found out what he had died from. He had got it from a blood transfusion in the mid-1980s, just when the disease was hitting its stride. My sexually active grandparents soon shared the disease, but not the same fate. He died within a year, and she lived for 30 more. We went up to the guest bathroom with all the necessary equipment: gauze, scissors, antibiotic cream, rubber gloves, and medical tape. First we needed to remove the current bandage. I put the rubber gloves on and started using the scissors to slowly remove the tape and unravel the bandage. It all came off fine until we got close to the end. Her 87-year-old skin was as thin as the bandage itself, and the blood had made a formidable adhesive between skin and cloth. She began to wince and whimper. I asked if she was okay. "Yes, go slow, sweetie." I went as slow as I could possibly go. It took about 20 minutes to remove the blood-stained bandage, and the newly opened wound was releasing fresh blood. Finally, the wrap came completely off and I threw it in a plastic bag. I blotted the wound with paper towels, applied the antibiotic cream, and rewrapped the arm. Aside from the autoimmune disease, heart attacks, and tumbles she took, Grandma Millie battled cancers and shingles and broken teeth for the last 20 years of her life. But she stayed sharp, and she rarely complained. When she finally decided it was time to go, I was glad my longest stay with her was my last, and that I was there to help bandage her arm. This concludes episode 7, and this concludes the first season of the Sam Pace Memoirs. I hope you found these stories entertaining. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment below, and share as well. And I'll see you for the second season.